Alright, seems like it's working. We have 6 traps why 80% of aspiring social entrepreneurs end up never starting, and corresponding strategies for you to actually get started. It will just take a few minutes before we start digging into this topic. I just want to make sure everything is okay in terms of technical aspects. All right. So let's see if the chat is working well. Hello. Yep. Here. Well. Okay, so I see that the room is sitting up. We have people that are starting to log in. Okay, perfect. Eddie says it's getting better. Yes, yes, I can. Okay, so we can get started. So actually, while people are getting in, because well, we said we would start at 1 p.m. GMT plus 2. So while people are arriving, I would love to hear who's here and what part of the world you are coming from. So you can just write in the chat, hey, I'll do it as well. It's Solène from Istanbul. Voilà. Okay. Oh, thank you, Eddie, for the happy first birthday. Today is the anniversary of Creators for Good. So it's a special day, and I'm really, really happy that we can be together today on this special occasion. Nitya says there's a lot of interference. I hope it will get better soon. Yeah, that's always the problem is, internet technologies, but well, hopefully you will be able to hear clearly later on. All right, so I know we have 1 hour together and I want to make the most of it. So yeah, you can, take the time to tell us where you are coming from in the chat, introduce yourself to the others, and I'll start basically just by a small introduction telling you what you're going to learn today, because it's not only Creators for Good anniversary, but also because 1 year ago was the day I started my social entrepreneurship journey. I wanted this day to maybe be a starting point for others around the world. And this is why I decided to host this webinar today, where I will share with you basically the 6 traps that you need to avoid in order to get started. And as I mentioned in the title of the webinar, I estimate that around 80% of social enterprise projects end up never starting. So my goal today is to give you my best strategies, so you are part of the 20% that actually get started, or even better, to make this 20% grow so that more and more social enterprise start and succeed all around the world. So yeah, for today, there won't be any PowerPoint or document or anything. So I invite you to take notes. I also invite you to turn off Facebook or any other window that are on your computer, because I don't want you to miss any important information. And then don't hesitate to ask questions as they come. I will do a few breaks during the presentation to see if there are questions and try to answer my best. After the presentation, so after I will tell you the 6 traps that you need to avoid, I'll give you the details of my offer for those of you who are determined to get started as social entrepreneurs. Plus, at the very end, as you know, there will be some bonuses and gifts for Creators for Good anniversary. It's very exciting. All right. But first of all, who am I and why you should believe basically what I'm going to tell you? Because I know some of you already are familiar with me and Creators for Good, but for some of you, it's the first time that we meet. So, short intro, I'm French, hence my accent and my weird name. And I live in Istanbul, in Turkey, since 2 years now. And I'm the founder of an online consulting company named Creators for Good, as you all know by now, I'm sure. And basically, what I do is that I provide strategy consulting, so business model validation. I help my clients package their offer, and then, of course, the launch strategy, communication, up until reaching break-even. And I specialize on social entrepreneurs. Another specificity is that I work with my client 100% online. The way it works is that we meet via Skype, and of course we communicate via email. They receive online tools, etc., which allows Creators for Good to be almost 100% paper-free, except from my notebook. And so far, I have worked with social entrepreneurs in Turkey, of course, but also in Uganda, in Switzerland, in the Netherlands, in France, in the United States and Cambodia, as well as in New Zealand and Saudi Arabia. So I have quite a broad overview of what it takes to become a social entrepreneur, no matter the region. And something else you might want to know, the projects that my clients work on are very different. So from fair trade products to alternative fashion, impact journalism or women empowerment. The common point is all of them want to make a difference in the world and use business mechanism as a force for good. So I don't work, for example, with non-profits because I don't believe in that's a sustainable model, but that's another story. So just for you to know, today we will talk about for-profit social enterprises. So basically, over the past 12 months, since I started 1 year ago, I have witnessed and helped many social entrepreneurs to start in many parts of the world. And my ambition today is to give you a bit of feedback from the lessons learned. Plus, I'm an entrepreneur myself, driven by the ambition to make a difference in the world. So you can have the live testimonial of someone who took the path that you are willing to take. So yeah, I'm just checking in the chat. I see that yeah, many of you have introduced themselves. It's great. Oh, I see Sandrine is here from Istanbul. Happy birthday. Thank you, Sandrine. It's great. Some people I know, some people I don't know. Cécile from France. Salut. Even from Australia, great. That's why I chose this time of the day. I was hoping that we would have people from many different parts. All right, let's go on. So, yeah, something I wanted to tell you also before we start with the presentation is that in addition to my clients, I also provide pro bono consulting. Maybe you have seen on my website, it's like the free diagnostic that I offer. And so far, I've given 3 hours of consulting to 50 plus individuals over the last 12 months across many different countries, once again. Basically, this allows me to have a bigger impact because I can't work one-on-one with that many people at the same time, but also I learn a lot from the sessions. And actually today I'm going to give you an overview of the most common mistakes and the traps that I see are frequent. And before I start digging into our topic, I also wanted to take a few moments to congratulate you for being here. Because if you are here today, it's because you aspire to become a social entrepreneur. Maybe some of you have just started, maybe some of you have just started to have the idea of becoming a social entrepreneur. And basically, you could do many things with your life, with your skills. But you have decided that the most important thing of all is to have a social impact, a positive impact around you. And even if you have not started, maybe you think that it's not too much, but actually, because I know so many people around me who don't care about climate change or social disparities. I also know many people who do care of, but they don't see how they can do something about it, and instead of looking for a way, they are just following the flow. So if you are here today, it's because you already trap ever that prevent people from becoming social entrepreneurs, which is the will to make it happen. So, and when there is a will, there is a way, as I like to say. Okay, so let's get started. If you have your, your pen and paper, go ahead, because I'm gonna start with the 6 traps. Also, there is a small delay between me here in my meeting room in Istanbul and you guys on your side. So if you want to ask questions while I'm talking, go ahead. And once I'm done with 1 or 2 chapters, let's say, I'll have a look at the chat and see if there are some questions. So don't be shy. So the first trap is what I call the external idea trap. So basically, one of the very first steps for you who dream to become a social entrepreneur is to define your social enterprise idea. And I'm sure that most of you are looking out there for gaps and needs and innovation potential to base your idea on. Basing your idea on the outside world is, according to me, one of the traps that lead social entrepreneurs either to never start or to fail quite rapidly. Let me explain. Most of us think that entrepreneurs find their idea out there. I was the first to think this way before I started my own company. That is because in our society and in our media, it is still traditional money-oriented enterprises that we hear the most about. Entrepreneurs who fill a gap in the market with a product or a service and then hope for the brand to grow big and then sell it later after a while and either retire on a paradise island or start another venture, or depending on the case. However, I guess that if you want to become a social entrepreneur, it's not to sell your company in a few years. What you want is to have a job that brings meaning to your life and your career. You want to do something that matters. You don't just want to volunteer a few hours per month, you want this to be your full-time occupation, and thus you also aspire to make a living out of your initiative, hence the entrepreneurial project. But because it's your first objective to be personally fulfilled, you should really look inside for your idea. This is the most authentic, sincere, and sustainable way to find your idea. The most successful social entrepreneurs I have met all about their childhood or their grandma or life-changing events where their idea come from. The reason is working on an idea that has a special meaning for you gives so much more energy to persist in the long run. And if you fall into the external idea trap, here's what's going to happen. You're going to find ideas one after another. For 2 weeks, you'll be so excited, you cannot sleep. But after a while, you'll find many reasons why it won't work or why it's difficult, and this will demotivate you. And if you keep looking on the inside, you're never starting any of those ideas that come and go, or you'll start one, but you'll give it as soon as it gets hard. I remember back when I decided to become an entrepreneur, I looked around and I had maybe one idea every week or something. I was thinking maybe I could import organic French clothing brand to Turkey, or maybe I could start the first Turkish fair trade tea brand. Or I could, open an alternative collaborative coffee place. So I was looking at all the things that didn't exist and thinking maybe I should create it. But there was always something that was holding me down. Till the day I was told to look inside. And I realized that what I love to do is to give advices. My talents are strategy and creativity, finding ideas where most people only see dead ends. And the people I love working with the most are like-minded global citizens who have the guts to start their own business. My cause is also very close to my personal history. One of the most difficult times of my life was when I was unfortunately unemployed for a few months after I graduated from my master's degree in sustainable development. I was so motivated to make an impact in my job, and it was really, really hard to end up doing something else. And even if I put in place some CSR initiatives, so corporate social responsibility initiative in my previous company, it was really not fulfilling. And the solution I found for me was to create my own job. And this is now my impact in the world as well, because I'm helping people do the same, creating their own job to have an impact on the world. And I imagine, like, if all the Y generation, as we call it, those who are unfulfilled at their regular job, decide to really create the change they want to see in the world, it will really have a tremendous impact. All right, long story short, don't fall into the external idea trap. Ask yourself, what do you ideally want to do? What are you great at? Who are the people that you love working with? And looking back at your personal history, what are the important moments or people that make you want to change something in the way the world works? Looking at your talents, your cause, your aspiration is what will allow you to find the idea that will get you started. The idea that you will fight for no matter the difficulty. All right, so that's it for the first trap. Let me check if there are some questions. Not yet. Many hello. Many birthday wishes. Thank you very much. So I'll continue with the second trap, and if questions come, don't hesitate to just type them down, and I'll do my best to answer them. So the second trap is the limiting beliefs trap. That's actually one of the most useful concepts I learned right before becoming an entrepreneur, limiting beliefs. For those who don't know what it means, limiting beliefs are beliefs, so things that you think are true but are not necessarily right, that are limiting you. One limiting belief I had, for example, before starting Creators for Good, was to become a freelance consultant, you need to be at least 40 years old. That was something I really thought was true, because all the consultants I had ever seen before were at least 40 years old. And this was limiting me because as a result, I could not imagine consulting as a possibility for me. Even though in the end, this is the perfect fit. So other examples of common limiting beliefs I see in people around me are: the best way to succeed is to do good studies, find a good job in a good company, which prevents people from basically imagining they could become entrepreneurs. Or it's impossible to make money and have a good impact at the same time. Hopefully you went beyond those limiting beliefs yourself, since you consider becoming a social entrepreneur. But maybe one cannot do something he loves and be professionally successful. That's also something that, you learn by the society, but at the end of the day, it's not true. Some people really love what they do and they are really successful. So stop looking at your profession or your business ideas are like serious things that can't be melted with your true passions or your talents. Maybe something that can be limiting you as well. Sometimes it's linked with legitimacy. So I had, for example, in one of the social entrepreneurs I helped, to be a professional photographer, you need to have a degree from one of the best art schools. Sometimes limiting beliefs are linked with the environment. To start a business in Turkey, you need to be fluent in Turkish. which is not my case, by the way, which is why I work on internet with English-speaking people. So maybe I can tell you one anecdote that shows how identifying limiting beliefs can really help you to find the idea that will get you started. And remember that you should look for the idea in you, in your history, and in your talent. One of the social entrepreneurs I helped used to be a marketing manager in the luxury hotel industry. And she was the pride of her parents who sacrificed for her to do good studies and find a better job that they never could have. So she made it. But she was feeling torn because she wanted to do something that really mattered, not only make good money. And she came to me with this dilemma and with an ambition to help preserve the environment, which is a cause really, really close to her heart. I won't have time to go into the details, but in summary, we found that her passion for the environment came from photography. Since she was a little girl, she always loved photographing plants, flowers, insects, and so on, but she never considered becoming a professional photographer because she never learned properly. She was, just autodidact, as we say in French. And once she realized that this belief was limiting her in pursuing her passion, she started a completely new page in her life, and now she's organizing photography workshops for kids in order to pass on the love and the preservation habits to the next generation. So, what are the limiting beliefs that prevent you from heading to where you really want to go? And the conclusion of this second trap is that there is nothing impossible, not even becoming a consultant at 27 years old or a professional photographer, even if you don't have the degree. And once you avoid those limiting beliefs trap, you are one step closer to actually get started. All right, so let me have a look at the chat once again. Alors, I see a question from Tanya. Can limiting belief also be something like your activism goes against the idea of business for profit? Yes, exactly. There is, it's very good point, Tanya, because that's maybe one of the most common limiting beliefs for social entrepreneurs, the idea that money and goods are something that can't, work together. But there are many examples now that shows that if you make money through a social initiative, through a social enterprise, it fuels the impact, and thus it allows you to have a bigger, brighter impact and to scale much more rapidly than if you had to look for grants. So if this is limiting you in particular, I advise you to do some research and find examples of people who made it happen, people who managed to both make money and have an impact at the same time. And hopefully it will limit the little voice in your head that says, like, it's impossible. Or thinking you are too old. So Jane is saying a limiting belief can be thinking you are too old. Exactly. You can think like, well, social entrepreneurs are this like young crowd, and I don't have my space in there. But actually, yes, if you decide, you can. That's the thing with limiting beliefs is like make the impossible or what sounds impossible possible. All right, so I will go on. Once again, don't hesitate. If you have more questions coming up, I will answer them after the next chapter, which is trap number 3. Maybe the biggest trap of all, which is the time trap. So building a social enterprise can seem so huge at the beginning that too many social entrepreneurs procrastinate, so they push it to later, and they end up never starting for real. The thing is, the longer it takes for you to actually get started, the longer it takes to both create a difference, an impact in people's lives, as well as generating sustainable income. Well, it's not a race, of course, but as an entrepreneur, you are in charge of boosting your own motivation. And trust me, if after 1 year of full-time work, you have little impact and close to zero revenue, no matter how much you love your initiative, it will be really hard to wake up in the morning and be motivated to invest more and more energy into the project. So that's why taking your time is a trap. I met actually another anecdote. I met a social entrepreneur in one of my free strategy sessions that got completely lost in this trap. 3 years after defining his idea for his social enterprise, he had done a lot of research, validated maybe 10 times that his idea was indeed good. He had built a really nice looking website and wrote a few blog articles. And voila, that was all. And when we met, he was really surprised that I already had clients, even though I only started 6 months before. And he said, wow, really? Like I started 3 years ago and I still have not secured any contract. And he contacted me because like he was thinking about giving up. And this is so sad because his idea was actually really good. But he explained to me that he didn't have the time to invest into his social enterprise. Basically, he was waiting for his social business to generate enough income before quitting his day job and working on his social enterprise full time. And I believe it's not the way it works, unfortunately. You cannot wait for your business to be financially sustainable. You have to make it happen. It's really up to you. And the problem is the longer you wait till actually getting started, the less you will believe in your idea and sometimes even unfortunately in yourself or your capacity. So by starting, I mean, make this project your number one priority. Spend the majority of your time making it work instead of waiting for it to work. And taking your time is definitely not a favor you do to your project and your potential impact. So as a conclusion, maybe for the time trap, the strategy is to set a timeline for yourself and then stick to it. If I look back at my example, when I started Creators for Good, I had 1 year of saving, so 1 year of rent and food, etc. But I knew that if I didn't make enough income or money through my business in the meantime, I basically had to fly back to France and crash on my parents' couch. And because I had this deadline, I was very intentional in all the strategies and investments that I made. And in the end, it took 7.5 months for me to reach break-even. I'm not saying that to brag or whatever, I'm just saying that so that you know that it's possible. And if one of your limiting beliefs is it takes 3 years to reach financial sustainability, then you can just, erase that and get to work. Because if I could do it, so can you. Well, I hope this one is helpful because I'm sure many of you are like pushing the deadline, thinking like I will start later, and we'll wake up in 1 year with still nothing really done. All right, so we have some questions. Okay, we have a question from Laura who says, how do you deal with money issue? How will I know that I can live properly while building my business? Yes, very important question indeed. Because as I mentioned, I really think that if you keep a full-time day job, you won't have like enough time or energy to put in your business for it to be financially sustainable on time. So I actually wrote a blog article about that if you want to have the details, but let me explain you the main lines. What I did was to calculate exactly how much I need for my business, because too much people say, you need a lot of money, but don't really calculate. And so once you have the real actual number, you add what you need for your own living, since you will be giving up your monthly salary most probably. And then with that grand total, you look at your savings and you see what you can fund yourself. If there is less than 5,000 euro left, what I suggest is to take a loan, or even sometimes you can ask your parents for a 0% loan or your family or whoever. If you need between 5 and 15,000 euros, what I suggest is to do a crowdfunding campaign, not beyond 15,000 euros, because if it's your first one, it will really be hard to reach. So what I advise with my clients is from 5 to 15,000 euros. And if it's more than 15,000 euros that you need to get started, then you need to basically revise your plan and find a cheaper idea to start. And I will actually get to that point because the trap number 4 is money. So we'll talk a bit more about that, but I hope, Laura, this calculation can help you. And if you are just thinking it will cost me too much money, just like put down some numbers to see actually exactly how much money you need. Nitya has a comment saying, my limiting belief is that I need to do a master's in sustainability or entrepreneurship in order to learn more. So I feel like I can't start until I learn more. Very, very good point. Actually, so I have a master's degree in sustainable development that I did in a business school in France. And when I decided to become an entrepreneur, I also thought I needed to learn stuff, because this is the sheen that we are on all our life on. You learn and then you do. But actually, I realized, and yeah, I give you this example because even though I already had a master's degree, I was looking at MBAs, and there is always more things to learn, basically. And at the beginning, the very beginning of Creators for Good, it was written in big letters on my website, master's degree in sustainable development, because I was thinking like it will improve my legitimacy and people will trust me thanks to that. But actually, I realized that people came to me for many different reasons, and no one mentioned the master's degree. And if you look at maybe the reason why you came today to the webinar, I didn't talk about like my education background. I talked about a problem that you have, and I said that I have a solution. And that's what you have to do for your social enterprise project as well. You have to find people who have a problem and to who you can provide a solution. So don't spend time learning too much. I much prefer that you spend time building a really great, useful solution to a very important, painful problem for a group of people that you can serve. Laura says, thank you. It's really great that we can interact like that. I'm hoping that one day we can have all the little cameras with all the little faces, so I can, I can see you as well on your side of the world. Anyhow, so let's continue to the trap number 4. As I mentioned to you, we are talking about money. I know that money is like a bit of a taboo in some cultures. France, for example, we don't talk about money. No one knows who earns what. I know this is common in the US, for example, but in France, like no number, no nothing. And it's also very much a taboo in the social enterprise area, because how can you make money out of people's problem or out of the planet's problem? So yeah, it's a limiting belief. And actually why it's limiting people, one of the reasons why it's limiting people is that you think that starting your enterprise requires a lot of money. And again, I think that that's a common limiting belief, because in the media, we hear about the startup who raised $3 million in the Silicon Valley or more. I'm saying 3, but sometimes it's hundreds. So we hear about all the enterprises that raise a lot of money, and for us, enterprise means raising a lot of money. But the reason why it's limiting It's because instead of developing a sustainable revenue model, which is according to me the best selling products or services that impact the cause that you have identified, social entrepreneurs spend months, sometimes years, looking for external investments. And they fall into the time trap. So actually the best way to avoid this, oh my God, I need too much money trap, is to think small, at least at first. Really, you have to accept that you will start with a small scale project, a version 1.0, and then expand, replicate, grow, scale, thanks to the money that comes in. I can give you a very recent example of one of my current clients who has the ambition to revolution the news reporting system in the Middle East. She has been an expert journalist there for years, and she knows that the region suffers from misrepresentation in foreign media due to the lack of integration and understanding of the expert journalists who are reporting the news in English. And this has a big negative impact. It affects foreign investment, it affects trade, tourism, even political relations, and much more. She also knows that the Arabic people themselves, they are hungry to voice their opinion and perspectives. And you can see that just in the usage rate of social media. Now, this project, the revolution of the news reporting system in the Middle East, sounds really large and ambitious, and you can really imagine the tons of investment that would be needed to make it a reality. Now, so she came with me with that big dream, and after working together during 1 month, she finally designed a feasible, fundable, and scalable project. And this is what you have to look for your own social enterprise idea as well. Feasible, fundable, and scalable. So her project now is to give online storytelling courses to Saudi women. So they can voice their story and opinion in a blog, for instance, but also learn how to sell their pieces to large medias. And she will use an already existing online course platform for less than $100 per month. She will design the course herself with a Saudi colleague of hers for the Arabic version. It will be in English and Arabic. And then charge a few $100s each month for the training. So according to me, they will reach financial sustainability or break-even within the first 6 months. And then they can scale to Egypt, Lebanon, and later any country in the region to give voice to women and shape a new image of the region in the world. The conclusion here is that with internet, it became so cheap to start a business and so easy to reach other people and thus have an impact in the world quite rapidly. So if you want to get started as a social entrepreneur, narrow down your idea into something doable that doesn't require tons of investment, and then you can start scaling from there until you make a big difference. Well, let me check if there are some questions about money. All right. I see that you guys are, you guys are talking to each other. I see that Jean is giving titles of books. That's really cool of you. Thank you. Maybe one of the questions that are limiting budget that comes also with money is I need sponsors or I need external investors because my beneficiaries cannot pay for a service. So in social enterprises, they are either your beneficiaries and clients are the same people. For example, with my consulting, my clients are benefiting and they pay for the service, and this is how it works. But in some social enterprises, the beneficiaries and the clients are not the same. The photography workshop for kids, the kids are the beneficiaries, but their parents are the clients. But sometimes, parents cannot pay, or sometimes it's from you want to impact kids that come from low-income families. So you have two options. Either you subsidize the ones who come from poor backgrounds, and you make basically the other parents pay a bit more for them. Or you can use your beneficiaries into the creation of your product or service. It can be, I don't know, writing a book together with them, or it can be, if you want to impact homeless, you can make them become city tour guides, alternative city tour guides. So there are many different examples of how you can involve the people you want to become, you want to impact in the sale process of your product or service. I hope this is inspiring for some of you who might be a bit blocked at this stage. Oh my God, how am I going to make money out of that? And then we can go on. So trap 5 out of 6 is my biggest trap personally, which is the perfection trap. It's my trap, but it's a very frequent one as well, because usually people who come up with the idea of creating their own business, they are not ordinary people. I have nothing against ordinary people, don't get me wrong, but I just noticed that entrepreneurs or aspiring are quite ambitious people. They don't settle for the average. They don't follow. They are quite demanding with themselves and with others. They want things to be done well. They have an eye for how things could be changed or perfected. And this is very good. But it can also become a trap. Because if you want always everything to be 100% perfect all the time, then you will spend too much money, energy, and time in perfecting things that actually don't need to be perfect to have an impact. And this is when perfection can make you fall into the time trap. And yeah, as I mentioned, it was my biggest trap. So when I started Creators for Good, I enrolled into a 6 months training program for entrepreneurs with a coach in the US. And one of the first things that she told me, or that we identified, was that perfectionism could really slow me down. So I listened to all her advices. And remember, I only had 1 year till I go back to France, to my parents' couch. So I really listened carefully to her advices and fought to listen to my ego, who would have spent months and months and months perfecting my product, my website, my everything. And so in the end, I launched my website after 2 months only, and it was not even ready. I had my first client before completing the content of my consulting program. And I invited you guys to join this webinar, even if I had no clue what I was going to say. And that's actually the secret to go beyond perfectionism. It's to launch even when it's not ready. Collect emails of people who are interested, and then only put everything together. Why? Because this will give you a clear deadline, and this will help you to be efficient, to start and to finish what you start in the minimum amount of time. Just like I did with this webinar. Okay, tac, September 1st, all right, let's see who's coming. And then 180 people signed up, so I knew I had to be very efficient. And it's the same with the start of your social enterprise. You can set up a landing page, for example, collecting emails of people who are interested in your app to find the, fair trade clothes in your city. And you can say it will be launched on November 1st, and when it will be October 15th, and you will have 500 people who signed up, you will be really motivated to, do choices, be efficient, be smart, be creative to make it happen. But it also gives some space to improvisation, to opportunities. Because if you overplan, overthink, overprepare, you won't necessarily have results. It's interaction and collaborations and actions that bring bigger impact. And maybe another anecdote, it's funny because one of my clients is exactly like that, like me. And she has excelled all her life long. And now she's working a lot on her perfectionism. But her perfectionism brought her to, have a very well-paid job in a famous international institution. And now she's creating a woman empowerment initiative instead, because she wants to have basically a more direct impact on other people's life. And her project is not the topic of today, but basically the other day we had our strategy session, and she was hesitating to open a Facebook page for her beneficiaries because she was afraid there would only be 20 or 30 people at first. The thing is, we are taught at school that the higher score, the better. We use numbers as a way to reassure ourselves. But at the end of the day, it's quality that matters, not quantity. Quantity comes afterwards. Quantity is when you scale. But first, you need to start. Maybe, starting a Facebook page or group with 20 people who fit the profile of your beneficiaries sounds lame to your ego. Maybe you're afraid to be rejected or, considered useless by that small number. But what if amongst those 20 people, some really benefit from what you share? Some really get inspired to make a big change for their life. Same with Creators for Good. I know that I'm not changing the face of the earth by helping few people create their social business. I know it, and it was hard to accept, but I know it. And one day, one of my clients told me, "You changed my life." And I understood I made the best decision ever to quit that former job of mine and do something that matters instead. Because it's not about the percentage of the planet that you reach. It's really about how deep you transform other people's lives. So as a conclusion for the perfection trap, everybody starts somewhere. So don't compare your beginnings with other people's middle. Sometimes you have to accept to be small and vulnerable to be able to create an initiative that will really transform other people's lives. And don't listen to your ego too much. Trust your intuition that yes, you can make a difference. Maybe just one person at a time, but it's already a lot. And don't wait for things to be 100% ready before launching, because it doesn't need to be perfect to be impactful. Voilà. Let me have a look at that once again. Okay, I have a question here from, first of all, thank you, Ashley, who says, great point, Solen. It's nice of you. Celine says, hey there, I have doubt about having a partner while starting a new job. I feel like without a partner, it's a bit difficult to continue, but also people say that don't be partner with friends. That's one of my limiting beliefs. Well, yeah, it's true that it's always something that you need to figure out. Should you start alone or should you start with other people? It depends where your limitation comes from. Basically, there are many entrepreneurs who start alone and succeed. There are many entrepreneurs who start two people and succeed. There are also people who fail in both categories. So this will not imply whether you will fail or succeed. If you're looking for a partner because you want to be motivated, you think it will be a motivation a factor, which I have witnessed, it doesn't work. Why? Because if it's your project, it comes from your childhood, your grandma, your unemployment period, whatsoever. If it's really something that As I mentioned to you, the idea is really from your own personal history and based on your skills, based on like one cause that you really deeply care about. It's going to be really hard to have the same engagement from other people. And if you're counting on them to like be motivated because like you feel stronger when you are two rather than one, this other person will not enjoy partnering with you, and after a while in the end it's like it's a risk for your social enterprise. Now if you want to partner with someone because there is one skill that is absolutely needed, that is at the heart of your social enterprise, then yes, definitely bring in some people to your project, but be very careful because I find it easier to start alone than to start with other people, because you have to manage the expectations, you have to manage how much you invest into your project. One of my clients had this problem. She initiated a project and then brought along two of her friends, not friends, but people who she knew. And the problem is she was like spending a lot of time and energy. She was really like, you know, Ali, let's make it happen. But the other two, they were like, yeah, sure, but they didn't invest that much, and so it created tensions, and it was really difficult. And now she's continuing by herself, and she's much more free to take whatever decision she wants. So in the end, that's what worked best for her. About the friend thing, that really depends on the friendship and on the person, so I cannot give you more details, but I hope that already helps you to figure out if you should start by yourself, which is possible, or if you prefer to start with someone else because he or she has a skill that is really needed into the venture. Eddie says, don't try to be perfect, you don't have the time. Thank you, Eddie. This is a tweetable. All right, let's continue. We're almost, we have been together almost for 50 minutes now. So it's time for the trap number 6, which I call the Everest trap. Last but not least. Maybe this name is the less self-explanatory. If you climb the Everest tomorrow, would you go alone or would you take a Sherpa? Sherpas are those professionals who like go up and down with people. If you really want to reach your goal, to get to the top, it's better to be with someone who has been there and who can guide you. So you can keep your energy for climbing without having to figure out what way to take. The point is, creating a company is a huge task. And figuring out how to do it at the same time, and especially when it's your first time, it's really, it's almost too hard. So you can try to go by yourself, just by reading tips and tricks on the internet and getting free advices from here and there, but let's be honest, nothing compares with having a personal Sherpa, someone who can do the thinking so you can climb without wasting time or energy. Which in business means without wasting money, because the more time you spend figuring things, the less time you have to reach your financial sustainability point. And a few social entrepreneurs that I met who gave up or failed, whatever you want to call it, they had in common this trap, which is not getting structured help. What do I mean by structured help or a Sherpa? I see 3 solutions that exist in every country. First, join an incubator for social enterprises. Not just a co-working space, really an incubator with a program, okay, 6 months, every week, every month we meet, you have classes, you have mentors, etc. You can take a coach, that's what I did. Or you can hire a consultant, someone like me or someone else, it doesn't matter to me, just someone who has gone where you want to go and created the methodology for you to follow and for you to not have to spend more time on Google than on your actual business. I can give you my feedback since I didn't build Creators for Good by myself. I took a coach, as I mentioned. And basically, when I quit my job, as I mentioned to you before, I had 1 year of rent and expenses on my bank account. And I knew that to generate sustainable income until then, I needed, something, I needed a help. So I decided to invest in order to maximize that time. And so I found this coach in the US who provided entrepreneurial training. And I chose her because she had achieved exactly what I wanted to achieve. Meaning creating a business online without potential clients in your city, which is my case because unfortunately my Turkish is very limited. So I knew I couldn't provide my consulting services here in Turkey, but I still wanted to help social entrepreneurs. And she had created a methodology for online businesses. So that's why I chose her. And basically, I followed the steps that she taught me. And that's why it's much better than taking a book. It's because it's not theory. It's someone who has created a methodology on their own experience. And to be honest, the results are way beyond, sorry for my English, my expectations. So basically in 1 month, I validated my idea, which was just a thought amongst many others before that. I had been like researching ideas for 6 months, and 1 month with her, bam, it was validated. 2 months later, my website was created. It was not ready, it was not perfect, but it was created. And I had my very first client before the website was even launched. And then I told you already before, I reached break-even in 7.5 months. And also last June, I earned as much money as in my previous job, which was really nice because it was just 1 year since I quit. So it was kind of my 1-year anniversary present last June. And again, I'm not telling you that to brag or whatsoever. I'm just saying that to you so you know it's possible. And then all that without any compromise. And that's the important part. I do something that I love. I work with amazing people who have the same mindset as me, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to create my own company. And also I have a great work-life balance. I work something like 30 to 40 hours per week, which is like pretty decent compared to the 60 hours I was doing in my previous job. And all that while pursuing my personal ambition or mission to create a difference in the world. So the conclusion is here, if you want to put all the chances on your side, I strongly advise to get a coach, a consultant, or once again join an incubator, really whatever solution suits you best. Because when someone tells you what to do and what not to do, it just goes 300 times faster. And yes, it's still hard. You still have your ego that is sometimes blocking you, and you still sometimes have to try different things before finding what works best for your initiative. But at least you maximize your chances to go into the right direction. And you can reach your break-even within the first year. I know I talked a lot about it today, but for me, it's the best way to guarantee the sustainability of your impact. Because if you have a social impact but no financial income to sustain it, then you're not a magician. After a while, you will have to get a job. So that's why this is the strategy that I used, and this is really the strategy that worked for me. So I strongly encourage you, if you want to put all the chances on your side, to find something like that for you too. And for you to know, I'm not doing like the advertising of my coach or anything, but it's just like I want to share because it made a big difference for me. I would not be here in front of you if I didn't get this training. Hello. Okay, Ashley, I have the challenge of intellectual property. I'm torn between an idea as a social that has a social impact, and I don't mind anyone knowing, but at the same time, I'm scared that my idea will be stolen, and thus wasting time and resources. I invested into it. What are your thoughts, Stolen? Again, I think this is something, this fear of having your idea stolen is something that comes from a different model of entrepreneurship where you compete with your competitors. I believe that social entrepreneurship is more a collaboration model, and the more people are active in your field, the better. I would love for more consultants for social entrepreneurs to exist because I'm just a little small company. I can take up to 20 people per year. That's all. And so I need colleagues in my industry to really make a bigger impact. And I'm partnering with some of them. And it's like if you want to, I don't know, fight hunger. Okay, you can, because you will start small with like, making a difference one person at a time. You can't, fight hunger like alone. So if you create an initiative and other people create initiatives as well, it's actually good news because we are not here to take a share of the market. We are here to have an impact. And about having your idea stolen, I really believe that if it's an idea that comes from your heart, something you're very authentic and sincere about, you will do it in a way that other people don't think of. Because it's like me with my consulting programs. I have designed my consulting programs, and there are other consultants that also provide consulting, but they do it in a different way, and I do it my way, and others, etc. And with all those different ways, we can answer different types of needs, different personality of beneficiaries, and it's good. So don't think of your idea as something that can be stolen. Think of your idea, think about your idea as something that will contribute to a bigger impact, and be ready to collaborate with others. And maybe one little small anecdote, I see that the time is flying, but after I started Creators for Good, I started having a social impact quite rapidly, but financially I was not seeing how I could grow fast enough to reach financial break-even before my 1 year, and I started to freak out. And I contacted one of the other industry players, so one other consultant for social entrepreneur. Actually, she's not exactly a consultant; she's providing online courses. It's Daniele from The Stage, if you want to check it out. And I told her, like, Daniele, I love what you do. How do you do it? And she was really happy to help me because that's the thing in social entrepreneurship, because we have the same impact in mind. It doesn't matter. It's not about competing. It's about collaborating to make this impact grow even faster. So she gave me tips and tricks. I also gave her some things that were working on my side of the world. She's in Canada. And now we are working together sometimes. So really don't be scared of competition. Consider them as collaborators. Eddie is reinforcing what I just said. All right. So yeah. All right, I see that some people are commenting about finding the niche, etc. So it's great. I'm happy that you guys are collaborating in the chat. So we are almost done with our webinar today. But first of all, so thank you very much for joining. I try to share as many things as possible during this hour, but I'm not a magician, so there's a limit to what I can share with this format. And for those of you who really want to get started, now that you know what are the traps to avoid, I want to invite you to join Creators for Good program. So basically, I provide individual programs, 100% online, so you can join wherever you are on the planet. And considering that you have not yet started, you have two options. If you are struggling to validate your social business idea, then you can join the 3 months from ideal to idea program. So you can stop feeling frustrated and isolated and actually get started. For you to know, so everything is written on my website, but I wanted to give you some details already. The investment is 1,400 euros, and basically I will guide you step by step so that in 3 months you finally uncover the idea that we will launch together. A second option is if you have found your social business idea, but now you realize that there is 1,000 things to figure out in order to get started and to start having an impact. If this is your case, I can offer you the 6 months from idea to impact program. It's for those who want to stop feeling completely overwhelmed. That's where I become the Sherpa. For this program, the investment, because it's 6 months, the investment is 2,400 euro. And then basically I will give you a framework so that in these 6 months, you will maximize your time and energy into the actions that will bring you financial income and strong social impact. So how does it work? Basically, we meet twice a month via Skype during an individual session, so just you and me. And we will review your current challenges. I will share with you what strategy we should apply, and I will tell you exactly what to do for the coming 2 weeks. So you'll receive exercises and tools via emails, and you can focus on taking action instead of focusing on figuring out how things work. For example, when the time is right, I will tell you, well, now you should do a quantitative survey in order to validate your idea. A quantitative survey is like sending a questionnaire to a number of people to get their feedback on the idea. I will explain you the most effective way to do that. And I tested it with many clients around the world. So, we found what works best. And then I will tell you what tool to use, what actions to take to get enough responses. And you can also ask me, any questions you have. For example, how many answers do I need to be, or how many answers are good enough? Or can I ask my friends to answer to all the questions that you have about this particular task? I will proofread your survey before you send it out, make sure nothing is missing. And thus you won't be alone. So you can really rely on my experience, my own and the ones that I had with my clients, to go much faster than if you have to figure it out all by yourself. And if this sounds like something that could be useful for you to move forward, then you can go on the service page of www.creatorsforgood.com. Where you can read the content in more details, because the programs don't only have the Skype calls. And then you can see the different price and payment options. You can compare and make your choice. And once you made your decision, you can contact me. My email is solen@creatorsforgood.com. If you have questions, we can schedule an initial Skype session. And voila, very simple. I wanted to mention it because I know some people amongst you might find it really useful. And now, before we hang up, it's the anniversary time. So yeah, I'm just seeing the chat, people thanking me. So yeah, it's great. Thank you, guys. So actually, when it's your birthday, you receive gifts, right, from your friends and family, or at least that's what happened in my part of the world. And for Creators for Good anniversary, I decided to reverse the process and offer you some presents instead. So I have 3 gifts and bonuses for the most motivated amongst you. The first bonus, the first gift, is a book It's actually one of my favorite books about social entrepreneurship that helped me or motivated me to get started. Maybe you have seen it on Creators for Good Facebook page, or if you receive the newsletter. So basically, you can try to win this book. I wish I had my copy with me. I forgot it at home this morning. Anyhow, how does it work? So you need to give your name and email in the box that is at the end of the 1 year review blog post. So either you log on to my website or you can see it on the Facebook page. And basically you'll have one chance to win the book. And on Friday, this Friday, the 4th, the winner will be chosen randomly by my computer, which is totally innocent, and announced on my Facebook page. For you to know, if you share the contest, you have like more chances to win. But also because you are one of the webinar attendants, I will, if you participate, I will automatically double your chances to win. So something tells me that the winner is amongst you. All right, so that was for the first one. The second one is a privileged group session for 3 people amongst you. So I know that like even if attending the webinar is useful, you might want to go one step further and speak directly with your camera on, exchange with others and with me. And I want basically to offer to the 3 most motivated people amongst you a 1-hour group strategy session to follow up on the webinar and brainstorm all together so you can get your social business idea off the ground and so that you can get to know like-minded social entrepreneurs in other countries. So what you need to do, just send me an email. Again, it's solen@creatorsforgood.com. You can explain your motivation in joining group session and I will pick the 3 most motivated people. You can write, you can draw, you can do a video, it's up to you. And then the third bonus. So as you know, I'm offering a 30-minute diagnostic free session, basically, a free consulting session to 5 aspiring social entrepreneurs every month. That's what I call a free strategy session. And actually the month of September is already full for you to know. But no panic, I will add 5 spots just for those of you who came to the webinar today, or those of you who are watching the replay. I'm thinking of those who couldn't come because of the time zone. And so if you want to apply, you can go on to Creators for Good website to the free session section. And there is a questionnaire to fill for the application form. Just write in the intro that you are coming from the webinar. So I'll give you the priority. And the first 5 will get a free session just with me. So voila, that's for the 3 bonuses. You have the choice, a book, a group session, or an individual session. All that on the house for Creators for Good anniversary. So voila, I'll send you a recap email with the replay anyway, but I hope that is useful and exciting for you. I see many happy birthday messages. Thank you so much. Yes, Cecile saying very helpful ideas and good energy. Yay! So useful and motivating session by Colleen. Happy birthday. Thank you, Colleen. I don't know if it's the Colleen that I know. All right, so thank you all very much for coming. Bye-bye, Dana, Colleen, Jean, Tanya, Laura, Cecile, Yassine, Alvaro. Alvaro, who says it was great being part of this webinar. Thank you very much. I was really happy to be together with you today. And yeah, talk to you next time. Bye-bye.